joined distinguished guests, faculty members, students, and everyone joining us today. My name is Abhinav from the Center of Policy Research and Governance, CPRG, and I welcome you to this important discussion on navigating AI in higher education at the IIM Mumbai campus. The Indian Institute of Management Mumbai is one of India's premier management institutes, officially recognized as an IIM in August 2023, previously known as National Institute of Industrial Engineering. The institute has a rich legacy of over 60 years. Under the leadership of Professor Manoj Kumar Tiwari, the director of IIM Mumbai, the institute has been focusing on expanding global collaborations, strengthening startup and incubation support for young entrepreneurs. As generative AI continues to transform our world, educational institutions face both unprecedented opportunities and complex challenges. From ChatGPT-powered research assistants to AI-detected plagiarism to machine learning curriculums, artificial intelligence isn't just knocking at academia's door. It has already taken a seat in our classrooms. Today, we have brought together two leaders who aren't merely observing this transformation but actively shaping it. First, we have Professor Manoj Kumar Tiwari, Director of the Indian Institute of Management Mumbai. Professor Tiwari has been at the forefront of integrating innovative technologies into management education. Professor Manoj Kumar Tiwari has been the founding director of IIM Mumbai since August 23, where he also served as director of the Indian Institute of Management. Under his leadership, the institute's rank has been improved to 6 from 29 in the National Institutional Ranking Framework NIRF ranking for management. He was a professor with higher academic grade, Dean Planning and Coordination at Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and currently on Lien for 5 years. Also, Professor Tiwari is the Vice Chancellor of Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, since September 2023. He is the chairman of the West Zone Committee for Viksit Bharat 2047 Vision. Professor Tiwari is the chief editor of the multi-policy evaluation book on Towards Naya Bharat, published by National Book Trust of India. He has also recently contributed as convener of the report on future talent requirements in logistics, a Vision 2047 document under the aegis of Ministry of Education. Professor Tiwari published over 370 papers in highly reputed international journals. He was rated as rank 1 among the top 100 individual researchers worldwide who published research articles in the International Journal of Production Research during 1985 and 2010. He is also mentioned as a leading author in the supply chain analytical techniques field of the Journal of Computer and Industrial Engineering, recipient of Most Influential Researcher Award in the domain of operations and supply chain management. He is the recipient of David F. Baker Distinguished Research Award and the Mahalanobis Distinguished Educator Award from the Operations Research Society of India, ORSI. Thank you so much, Professor Tiwari. And joining us from Germany is Dr. Axel Baisch, Managing Director of the Hertie School. Under his leadership, the Hertie School has pioneered numerous initiatives in bringing valuable international perspective to our discussion today. He served as Chancellor of HHL Leipzig Graduate Institute of Management from 2011 until 2017. And he also teaches leadership, governance, and management of cultural institutions at the University of Zurich and at the Accademia Teatro alla Scala in Milan. Dr. Baisch studied law and history of art in Kiel and Freiburg, and he holds a Dr. Juris from the University of Freiburg. He also holds an executive MBA from Birmingham Business School in the UK. In India, he has conducted various lectures in India on the topics like legal studies, cultural diplomacy, and public policy. Thank you so much, Dr. Baisch, for joining us here today. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Ramanand, the Director of Center of Policy Research and Governance, CPRG, to welcome our distinguished guest, Dr. Axel Baisch, Managing Director of the Hertie School. request him again to welcome Professor Manoj Kumar Tiwari, the esteemed director of IIM Mumbai. Thank you so much, sir. Before we hear their insights, I would like to ground our discussion in real data from the trenches. As part of CPRG's Future of Society initiative, we surveyed over 600 students and a number of faculty members across the Delhi NCR region colleges last quarter. What we discovered about the gap between AI policy and practice and the strikingly different perspectives between students and administrators provides crucial context for today's conversation. Let me also briefly introduce you to CPRG and our work in this space through this PowerPoint presentation. The Center of Policy Research and Governance CPRG, led by our director Dr. Ramanand, is a public policy think tank that aims to promote responsive and participatory policy making. As an Indian Council of Social Science Research recognized institution, it conducts cutting-edge research and analysis across diverse policy areas. Our research areas range from security and diplomacy to governance and from education to environment and climate change. Our work includes research and evaluation, where we provide credible and evidence-based research support while working closely with leading scholars globally. We also are involved in policy engagement, where we create positive dialogues with multiple stakeholders, and we also do capacity building, where we nurture talent in public policy to contribute India's evolving policy landscape. The AI in Education study that I recently talked to you about, CPRG conducted a survey to analyze how students engage with AI in their academic work, outlining key benefits and challenges. The survey period was from December 2024 to January 25, and the sample size was of 600 students and a number of faculty members. While doing this survey, we had both its benefits and challenges. To list the benefits, I have 24% use of those students use AI on a daily basis, and 43% use it a few times a week. While 48% of those students use AI for research and information gathering, about 73% rely on it to find relevant material. 74% of those students use AI to translate or simplify complex material. 18% reported that AI had improved their academic performance by a great extent. 60% of them stated that AI has improved their understanding of complex subject, while 33% found just AI helpful in efficient time management. There were also some challenges that we got through this survey. 47% of the respondents identified AI hallucinations as a major issue. 48% of the respondents found it difficult to understand AI-generated responses, and many students still find traditional methods of learning, teaching to be more engaging. This whole survey was a part of the Future of Society initiative that CPRG is taking. Under this initiative, we explore the potential impact of emerging technologies on society, examine the discuss rapid societal shifts, enable a forward-looking policy roadmap to navigate the future of society. Under this initiative, we also are working on State of AI in India report, where we are doing a comprehensive study to map the intervention of AI in different fields such as healthcare, education, and defense and energy. We also do capacity building through this initiative, wherein we have introduced CPRG Transforming Society through AI Fellowship, which is a fully funded 6-month initiative supporting research on AI's socio-economic impact in India. Under the policy engagement, we do policy papers, policy conclave series, wherein multi-stakeholder platform examines the socio-economic impact of emerging technologies. Some glimpses of our work. The inaugural policy conclave in Mumbai explored AI's role in entrepreneurship, finance, and governance. This conclave was held at the same campus in Mumbai. And then we had another discussion, which was AI and the future of finance in India, which was held in IIT Bombay very recently. CPRG, as a delegation, also participated as panelists in the main discussions of the Global Partnership for the Artificial Intelligence Summit 2024 in Belgrade, Serbia. CPRG was one of the only institutions invited at the Belgrade Summit in 2024. The Future of Society initiative, under this initiative, we were also invited to host an official side event at the AI Action Summit of 2025, and we were the only non-governmental organization from India to host an official side event at that summit. Held under the theme Data for Development, Building AI in the Global South, the discussion centered on critical data related challenges hindering the development of effective and mature AI systems in the Global South. Thank you so much for hearing me this patiently. The education survey findings that we looked upon provide an important backdrop for our discussion today as they illustrate the current landscape of AI integration in Indian higher education. Without further ado, I would now invite Professor Tiwari for those insightful remarks. And I now invite to share his opening thoughts on navigating AI in higher education from the perspective of IIM Mumbai. Yeah.
Today, in this workshop, we have distinguished guest Dr. Axel Baisch, Managing Director, Hertie School. Along with him, we have yet another collaborator of him, Mr. Nitish Singh, and Dr. Ramananji, who is well-known friend of us, as well as running a very good school of public policy. And we are helping him actually to build a base in different sector because we feel that we have to collaborate with several such schools on public policy to have a wider reach among the different government sectors for having better control and some sort of influence over these policies because they have a very deep connections with several things which are affecting the higher education systems. And in this context, recently our Prime Minister was in France, and it was very heartening to us note that only organization who was there officially being attached with that particular visit was one headed by Ramananji. And there I noticed some of the very interesting issues raised by our Prime Minister, particularly how the AI is going to be suitable for the higher education and how it can have a different and multiple roles to play. So, my dear friends, if you see in recent year, I think if you compare many other technologies, also like say start with the mechanization when you find that mechanisms and IC engine took place, and then more than 60, 70 or 80 years took to develop the advanced version of that engine, and more than 100 years took to develop the motor. Like this, there were huge gap. You say first computer was somewhere in 1936, and then 54 only some other version came. And between say laptop and to mobile, at least there is a gap of 25 years. Similarly, most of technology, minimum you got a gap of 20, 25 years, 30 years to see that it's percolation into the different domain. But one technology came which has taken no time to reach almost everybody is the AI. So people were surprised to see एक बैग कहाँ से आ गई है, and it has more pronounced misuse than use because people know worst thing better and good thing later, correct? So because of that, this has been known. This has many, like deep fake kind of things were more popular than actual applications. But when we, as academics, we have seen its power because we know very well AI is not a new thing for us. We have started doing work since 1994. Before that, also there were several pattern recognition type of courses were taught, advanced stats was taught. So for us, it is not a new thing. But name is maybe coined in better way by the scientists and practitioners. But we know that what was the power of advanced stat, what was the power of expert system, what was the power of algorithms that were being trained for search engines. So we know it very well that there is something have tremendous potential, but how it will look like, this was not known. So in its new avatar, we started simple machine learning with neural network. Then immediately it has taken a new shape that many of the areas where many of the RNN first came, then DNN came, deep learning, then CNNs. So many new kind of neural networks has started to capture thousands and thousands of the variable with different kind of their applications and their input formats and major benefits which we realized were particularly prediction of some star, natural calamities, and some sort of demand prediction for many of the things. So there are some known benefits already recorded. But question is that how it is going to help in many other domains, medical domain, education domain, engineering domain, policy domain. So this was the question. And in between, very soon, almost within a gap of 3 to 4 years, the new technology in the form of generative AI came into picture. When generative AI came, it was basically linking with the many kind of BART transformers to build up the large language models. These large language models are basically linking many of the agents which are there with the capability to have automation, capability to have a intentionalization, and have a several characteristics to behave in an independent manner, and they have a power to communicate with each other, and they can process the data, they can share the data, they can have fidelity with the data. So like this, the application of multi-agent with the BART and LLMs, they have brought a new technology which is being called what you call the generative AI. And in generative AI also very soon termed as agentic AI. In agentic AI, the power of agentic AI is that, like you can see the DeepSeek GPT-4, there you can just write anything, so this will give you the answers like this. So maybe that answer may have a lot of hallucinations, maybe you have differences, errors, etc. Particularly India is a multilingual nation. It has many languages which has not been properly even defined in the English-like statements. Correct? Say, I will tell you, somebody was making a joke that there was a Ramcharitmanas couplet, Amit Nag Bhal Amit Bisala. Means there were very, very big, warriors. They have a huge power. So this is meaning Amit Nag Bhal Amit Bisala. So they said that, okay, one day, person with name Amit became the Home Minister of India, and he will do all such great things. Correct? See, this interpretation of one chopai, half of that portion, by some people who have no idea about how the Hindi and how the works actually. Similarly, our famous Hanuman Chalisa, there is last line, Chhutai Bandi Mahasukh Hoi. So now boys are interpreting Chhutai Bandi means they have breakup, and because of that, now there will be huge pleasure. Correct? Just see. So these are the hallucinations which are coming and interpreted by some people like this. Correct? So idea is this: we have to build up error-free, well-disciplined kind of AI, and particularly agentic AI, which has massive applications for our. Say, for example, I was going through some speech before talking to here. So we put that what are things to be done in education. So I deployed Nikhil Ghag, younger faculty. So kuch karo. So Nikhil Ghag brought that how it is in different domains of education. I will read later on, but first what I know I will tell. So then we noticed that many tutorials, many of the work which are related with the experimentation, students' assignments, checking, and different variants of like testing, they're all possible now with the AI. But one thing everywhere they mention ethical considerations. A question is this: ethical considerations are to be first mapped, then there is AI policy, and this AI policy, ethical concern, they need to be learned with discipline. And the moment you bring word discipline, then there is discontent because everybody wants to be like AI agents are autonomous. They don't want any control system on them. Then why we have to be controlled like this? So always, whenever you want to bring discipline, then there will be some restrictions. But it is essential. Otherwise, there will be massive misuse of the AI. And that is why I told in the beginning itself, it has a tremendous potential to solve many social, political, administrative, as well as educational help. But it should be well governed, it should be well defined, and it's well regulated because it has huge power. And I'm sure that the kind of area it is engulfing, technically, I tell you, like say, we are solving a problem in the decision technology where large language models coupled with the many of the challenging optimization problems which we solve through all the nonlinear programming, column generations, and stochastic models. Now they all have space there. Only thing is that you have to give the prompt in that way and train it properly so that it takes the English like statement up, and then later on it will give you the answer in that way, and then you have to verify it for a large data sets, and then you can use it for solving some problems. Means now the things has come up. Very soon you may find the LLM for warehouses, LLM for network designing, LLM for procurement, LLM for transport planning, LLM for like this are going to happen very soon, friends. So when this is going to happen, then you should ready for that. So that is why we have to build and embed more courses of agentic AI, advanced AI into our domain with respect to the marketing, finance, even OBHR also have several applications of agentic AI. Even this word agentic, I was going through a literature. It is actually brought from the one social scientist's contribution who wrote a very good book, Albert Bandura's 86 book, Social Foundations of Thought and Actions, a social cognitive theory, in which he defines agentic refers to capacity of individuals to act intentionally, make choices, and expert control over the environment and circumstances, highlighting the proactive and deliberate human agencies. And this has been later on referred through the multi-agent system called MAS. And there were 11 top scientists who contributed that how the MAS have independent characteristics, which were earlier built up with the Java applet. Now they are having many of the Python and related kind of Julia technologies that they are using, and they will communicate all the kind of decision modeling framework and there is one very interesting word that just I would like to mention point workflow engine and orchestration engine. So these two kind of engines, they are linked with the many multi-agent systems, and that will be the one of the core of the technology that is part of the agentic systems. And in this agentic, the next development is not only LLMs. Now the things are coming in large action models. So you can ask me what is the difference between large language models and large action models. So large action models are those which are converting all these instructions into the actual instructions which you need for implementation. And under that, feedback systems, autonomy of the agents, improvements, language corrections, and decision error. these were also included along with integration of prediction and optimization. So, large action models, they are more coming in the form of several APIs, several, like apps, which we are going to use. And that is what I said earlier. Now you have to use the large language models for the warehouse. So that is nothing but you can say one stage ahead of the large action models that will be going to be in form of apps, and that every company will tailor it for their own operations. So now coming to the education system, so what we are perceiving that very soon we have to have a comprehensive AI policy, and how we are going to have the application of this chat GPT and its format in the different subjects. I think we have to change our exam system also now, and somehow we should be more open, and our faculty members and students, they should be learning how to nicely use prompt, and in order to build more, like something which is human centric, something which is emotional, something which is more, like innovative. That kind of thing we have to bring in it, so that both the judicious blend of the AI and our own intelligence will work together to conduct the testing and examination, and all the traditional way of checking, like आपको 2 घंटे बैठा दिए, आप उसमें लिखे जा रहे हो, कुछ किए जा रहे हो. I don't think that model is going to sustain far long. It's now learning outcome based kind of testing, where everything is with you, and how quickly you reach out to the desired action plan, desired knowledge, and how you can use it, translate it, and then implement it. So this way the testing format will come out in next few years, and of course along with the very strong focus on behaving ethically and with well-disciplined kind of thing without hurting other sentiment. With this note, I just want to conclude my points, because Poonam has to ask a lot of questions also later on. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Tiwari. Those were very insightful remarks, and I'm sure that we have a lot to take on from there. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Baisch for his remarks on how he oversees this topic.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Professor Tiwari, for your remarks. I'm really looking forward to our discussion. I just want to start giving you some overview of the use of AI in higher education in Germany, in German universities. A little bit. It was in December 23 when my niece was with us in Berlin in our house, and it was just Christmas. And she came up to me and says, she was just out of university and working in an IT company. She said, now it's going to all change. And she took her iPhone out and showed me, look, ChatGPT just came out. That was in Germany, came out just like, I think, 23 or 22nd of December, 2023. And it was quite, sorry, do I somehow maybe mix this one up? Do I have to go like maybe a little bit better like this? Here we go. Okay, we do like this. And that's much easier. Here we go. Thank you. Take this out. Great. And when she came up and said, well, what is this? We looked at it up, and we had this ChatGPT you're all probably aware of. And then it was all over the press in Germany the next day. They said, well, no school children, no homework anymore. It's easy. They just write it up, and the teachers were up. But God, what are we going to do? How can we ask a question if ChatGPT answers everything anyhow? Are they going to learn anymore? And then coming back to my university a few days later, and our master students were just about writing some papers and exams. Of course, they got hold of it and started using it. And the professors came up and said, now what are we going to do? And we had it's a kind of emergency meeting with the faculty. And we're in Berlin, you may know, we have many universities, very large ones, Humboldt University, but 1,000 free university, and also others and ours. And the range was from, just forbid everything electronic in the classroom, use a pencil than a pen, to open it completely up. It's your job as a faculty to monitor it. So that was the wide range, and what we then did in January, literally 24, so just a few weeks into the semester, we set up a policy where we, in the end, encourage students to use within every assignment AI, but mark it, tell us, check it, don't just use it. And at that time, you might remember, AI was ChatGPT invented quotes. So you could tell me the text, write me a text, and put quotations to it. And because sometimes ChatGPT didn't find quotations, they just invented sites. And then if you check the journals, those journals didn't even exist, let alone the article existed. So that is, of course, now all changed. But that was those times. It was quite an uproar in Germany, going from the public schools until universities. And still now, the Humboldt University in Berlin, part of the departments, don't allow anything else but a pencil and a paper in an exam. So that the range is still wide. Let me give you an overview of where we are. So in 2024, of course, many people are somehow taken aback by this, and now lots of funds have been now given out from government and universities to do research on it and to use it. I will now just concentrate as a viewpoint of a managing director on it, not talking about research in depth, because that's not my point here. There are 4 fields at the moment of trends where we adopt AI in German universities, and I just explained them a little bit. One is personalized learning and adaptive learning systems. Second is, of course, for research and data analytics. I will skip a little bit that one. And then for administrative automation, making services much faster, more efficient, etc. And then for student support services. And I just give you some, and there are universities who are further in it and less further. There are universities who have like 40,000 students, and you can imagine it does make sense to use certain automation in a student university with 40,000 students, instead opposite to our university, which has nearly 1,000 students, maybe your size, a bit smaller than your size, where we really emphasize, and I come to that later, personal experience of the student, of the faculty member, of the staff, where we don't want to use, for example, chat box in certain ways because we can do it much better ourselves, because we still are small enough in size. So those are the fields, and I'll just give you some ideas. Of course, chat box and student queries and standard questions, Frankfurt School of Finance and others invented them. I get nearly weekly an offer. I'm a startup in this and that field. I have this great chat box idea. Don't you want to use that for, and then being efficiency. Indeed, we go in for it, we look for it, but it must make sense. And until now, we didn't find the chat box were really good. But this seems to change. And if we then can use that and free up time in our staff, for example, student life and also for others more deeper queries, fine, then we would use them. But as a small university and a personal institution, we very much like the personal interaction. And sometimes, at least in my experience was and others, those chat boxes, some lead you somewhere, but then it stops it somehow. And the real question is not answered. Then it refers to, please call that number. Okay, thank you very much. That could have been done in the early. But it evolves, of course, greatly. Now, student counseling is a big issue. Even in psychological issues and at-risk students, some AI can really, getting upon student data, detect early on, that student might be a little bit off course, whatever that course is. Could be in terms of really their learning experience, but could be also in other experience. And give us signals up front and say, please make in contact with the student, or tell the student, be aware that maybe you do some counseling, career path management, whatever. That really is working. Very much working is the core choice optimization. That is, of course, especially used in German online universities. We have 2 or 3 very famous ones. Fernuniversität Hagen, which is some kind of translation into long distance university. Hagen, they were very early on the market, like 50 years ago already, I studied there a bit, I had paper stacks, nothing online, really big boxes of paper. And they, of course, then use their online learning tool very early. And they, for example, they use AI to optimize the course choice in the student journey while you're actually studying, because you do it all online. So all the data is there, which is, of course, not the case when you study in the university as a person. Career path, really, counseling, that is more and more important. We don't use it too much there because we very much believe in the personal one-on-one, but we can afford it. We have a lot of counselors and not so many students, but of course university with 10 times as many students and maybe the same amount of counselors do need this in order to somehow find out where do we really have to invest in a person, and where can we do some counseling and some analyzations of CVs and all those things a bit better through AI. Then I already talked about learning data. Analyzing student learning data is really used now in many universities to predict academic outcomes and give the student upfront a hint, and also the lecturers and the tutors an idea. Okay, this is where it might lead. Maybe you might want to change this, or just stay on track, keep this, or emphasize this a little bit more, etc. And then, of course, adaptive learning tools, especially in online learning. That's about the field of use in the student experience. Then, of course, we use it in plagiarism. I mean, that was one of the first things. And I know faculty told me at the beginning, that was like February 24, when I asked them, how do you detect really, let's say a whole essay is written by AI, and the student hands it in, but it doesn't tell you it's written by AI. How do you detect it? Well, I said, it's pretty easy. I just take the whole essay, put it in, and ask the AI, is this text written by AI? And it did work to a high percentage. That really, and it didn't of course find this because it's unique text, as we know. It's not can be found at the same time. But they find patterns in it and say, well, of course now AI gets ever better, so maybe this doesn't work anymore now. But a year ago it did work, and so it was some kind of a test. But plagiarism, of course, we use now all over AI in order to find it, but much more refined than that one. Then grading, we don't use it yet in grading, but many large universities, especially in bachelor studies, they do use it. Very simple grading text to make it a bit more refined than just multiple choice. Very much so. Also, our faculty does use it, and many do use it in course development. And when I'm teaching in Milan, in Italy myself, I really found it quite interesting when I develop a new idea to a course or something. I just put it, but it must be a pretty good prompt. I was sometimes taking off-road when I had a bad prompt to it, I must say. But a really good prompt and lots of information into it. I say, look, on this topic, I'd like to go in that direction. What kind of key topics would you suggest to cover, etc., in literature? And it gives you some kind of deep insight. You mustn't take it, but at least it's not the right paper which you're still sitting in front of, but you can really work upon things. And lots of our faculty does it heavily. Now, how does faculty get used to it? Of course, we don't. We do have some teach-to-teachers formats, that's true, and we have a lot of faculty exchange. But maybe as your institution as well, our faculty do have sabbaticals. Like in our university, like after 5 semesters of teaching, you get 1 semester of sabbatical. And lots of them now use it to really have a deep dive, like of 2-3 months into AI and their field of research. And that is quite interesting what they come out of. That they use and some they don't, but they really say, well, here you go. That's really, for me, economists, for example, have a lot to do with complicated formulas, and sometimes they just don't, even if they're professors in their field, don't really understand that complicated formula. And then they put that formula into AI, they tell me, explain me that very complicated long way because I didn't get that one. And while the explanation, that back and forth, it really helps them at a very high level. Now, of course, we've got to be able to really judge, is that correct or not correct, what they're telling me? But of course they are. I wouldn't be, maybe others also wouldn't be. So that's what they do, and they exchange a lot of coding. We have a data science lab, and we do a lot of coding. Our students need to do a lot of coding, and of course AI can do coding. And they interact, and they say that in the classroom we can go much deeper, as long as the students and teachers really do understand what the code is written, how it's written. But it does work, it does help, and it does speed things up. And of course, a lot of writing and explaining. What we have also in, we call it Library Information Services, LIS. We use it a lot in terms of cross-linguistic cooperation. We're in Germany, so sometimes we do speak German, a lot of English and other languages, but in order to have this cross-linguistic cooperation much quicker and easier done, we use it also a lot, and there are very good models in it. And then very important in the executive education, and especially in research, if you want to win competitive grants, the idea of tender writing, and you have, like, there's a tender out there, and you want to apply for it. You want to write a good 2, 3, 4 pager, and you know what your institution can do, you know the tender, etc., and you put it all in, and it can really help you to set up and speeds it up a lot. Instead of 1.5 days, it's maybe 1 hour or so, to have like a good first draft and then work upon it and get through faster. And you never know whether you get through. The same for competitive research grants. Last thing is, in administration, we then developed not only January 24 this guidelines for the Hertie School for Teaching and Research, but in February 25, because we wanted to see a bit how it evolves, and it evolves weekly as we see, a use of AI in administration. Because the colleagues were somehow using it in administration. I'm talking from curricular affairs to finance to HR to IT to many, many aspects, but they were unsecure how to use it. and we needed to give them some guardrails to have, like, how much personal data can I give into that AI? How much must I not? What about business secrets? Where do I draw the line that I don't make myself like going into illegal activities? And so we use it a lot in mapping and analyzing procedures, trying to enhance our efficiency. We have set up working groups in the last weeks, literally, which shall produce a lot of results until the summer. We have admin leadership sessions on AI, like 4 or 5 hour sessions, where each and every one of us, especially if they're from the data science lab and those are really at the forefront of research in that field, do come and brief us, and we go back and forth how we use it. And we hope that the working groups, especially in the field of student cycle and recruitment and others, do really have some great results. That's what we are, but we must keep in mind, we're not a university of 40,000, but we teach in small groups between 10 and 25, 10 and 25. That's a quarter of this room. That's our seminar style we teach in. So it's very personalized coaching and personal experiences. So that does limit a bit the sense of the large scale AI, because we don't need it, but we focus it rather on the deep issue, not so much on the variety. With that, I would like to end, and happy to take part in the panel. Thank you very much. Shall I go over here?
I can call you.
Yeah, you can. Okay, great.
Thank you so much for those candid remarks, Dr. Baisch. And we are glad to know the kind of leadership Hertie School is taking towards integrating AI not only in their curriculum, but also in the administrative affairs of the Hertie School. I'm sure Professor Poonam has a lot of questions for you. Without further ado, I would like to invite both of our panelists, Professor Tiwari and Dr. Axel Baisch, to please take their seats. And I would also request Professor Poonam to please join us as a moderator. Please, sir.
Very good afternoon to our panelists, Professor Tiwari, Director Sir, and Dr. Alice Baisch, and to our wonderful audience. So AI, of course, as we have been listening from our experts, has itself gone a huge transformation at a very small period of time. So earlier, when Google came, we had this worry that there's all information is available in Google, so there's nothing that we bring into class. Now with AI coming in, the problem-solving exercise is also being taken by AI. So what do we do when we come to class? So that is the question that we are trying to address today. And of course, with all technology, what we find is that it's a very useful servant, but it can be a dangerous master. So that is where probably we need to discuss the policies as to how we can ensure that we are able to leverage AI without really it getting, mastering us. So on that note, may I again welcome our panelists for today. So I'll start with Director Sir. Sir, in like we heard you talking about, how now in classrooms these like generative AI to now agentic AI is can be used as a higher education tool, right? So in India, given the issues of accessibility and scalability, how would you say that we can envisage the use of AI?
Actually, one good thing happened with the advent of AI is that there is no need to buy. Most of the things are already embedded with some very easily available, say, apps. Say, I think a very small amount is required for GPT-4, Chat GPT-4, but up to Chat GPT-3, and their Copilot and many other platforms. There, I don't think it requires any money to be paid actually. So anyone who is doing any professional education, they can easily access to most of the, shorter version of the AI platforms. Then comes to the very special platforms which has been means for education, and people are going to build up those kind of things. So there may be some, perhaps yeah, API type of things you have to pay, but currently I don't think there is a need of anyway. Hardly we can make available to all the students very small amount of cost actually. Even before that also, just a few days back, DeepSeek came and almost given a big jolt to the many of the processing companies like NVIDIA and all those things. So idea is this: it's evolving, and in this evolution process, as you said that many precaution, many kind of things to be taken care, like it may not be, it should not be dangerous master, it should be good teacher only. So to avoid that one, we have to be train them actually to know how to nicely use this technology with better prompt, better knowledge. And here teachers requirement is much more, because it is our responsibility to teach them that what kind of prompts, what kind of things are there, like say question paper generation. So I was checking with the one particular AI platform, a supply chain questions where there is a shortage of the goods and services. So even you change the variation of the demand, correct? Like in what way service pattern changes, same answer was being given. It means there is some fault embedded into the system. They have not included the different pattern of variation into the training model actually, correct? So such kind of thing, it is our duty to incorporate and tell, so that the model will be much more accurate and reliable actually, correct?
Thank you, sir. So I think the two very important points that emerge for a country like India is that AI is cheap, so it allows access to a wide number of students, a problem that we face in India. And second is it's a useful companion again from a faculty perspective, so that their time is now focused more on, say, higher education. So thank you very much, sir, for those 2 points. Now I go to Dr. Baisch. Sir, like obviously, you know, Europe, the problems are very different. We in India like to call it like first world problems there. But you have always taken a front seat when it came to regulations, especially in the technology sector. So in terms of AI also, we see that EU is one of the first countries, or you know, the Union itself, to think about AI as a policy, or how to really monitor it. So on that, if you can just share some lights, especially with regard to higher education.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we have this EU AI Act up and coming, and lots of regulations driven by European institutions, but of course then driven also by the members of the European Union, which is primarily Germany and France. As moving forward, indeed, this is also aimed a bit against somehow this might of the US tech giants, who of course see the EU, understandably so, as a large market, et cetera, et cetera. We have this discussion. Now look, and come back into the higher education, it is always there are two problems with it. One is if you, as I refer to, use it and there are certain legal boundaries in Germany by the Data Provision Act and others, also the European Data Provision Act, that you cannot just and should not let the data leave. Sorry, does it work? Yeah, let the data leave Europe. Now, that is not so easy if you want to engage in AI models, because they are very often hosted in, maybe we just check this a bit better. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. Maybe. Try to use one? Yeah, here is that one. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Great, thank you. Sometimes they're hosted in Europe, Germany, sometimes they're not. So it's first of all, we have to make clear within higher education, since a lot of sensitive data is in there, that you do not play around and use, especially AI models, which automatically transfer data into the US. Now, we had that problem before, also before AI came. So a lot of US companies and others set up hubs within Europe, according to the European Regulation Act and Data Protection Act, so that's fine. And the second thing is then, what is it? Oh, yeah, the second thing is, apart from that, it costs a lot of energy, what we talk about here, right? We did the calculations once, because we have a Center for Sustainability, Energy and Climate, the Hertie School. We did some calculations how much it costs each day to run certain AI tools. It's unbelievable amount of energy it's used for partly very dumb questions putting in there, but still the machine's of course running, partly very smart question, then somehow it's fine. But apart from this, it's the, what do you think the point was? I wanted to make another point. Yes, the point is that we want to somehow set up guardrails, also for the colleagues to feel safe, that they don't enter into illegal activities. So we set up something which will be coming next week, which is called www.ai.hertie-school.org. Which is one link to, I think, 18 different AI machines we identified as good and safe and within the European Union, etc., which can be linked directly through one entry, and which then automatically is like a meta search engine, goes into those 18 and takes the information and pulls it together into one, which enables us as a company to only pay one license, and not like 320 times 18, which you can easily make, is a huge amount of money you would have to pay. And that's, of course, the money model. No, it's a lot of money behind. If you pay it personally, I think it's up to $20 a month per user. I mean, do the calculations in India or in Germany, you just go crazy with that money you spend. And of course, it's used for the energy consumption. We know this, and others. But we want to reduce that and also somehow give some guidance into which models we are allowed to use, which are many of them, but which are also safe and used in the classroom. Because of course, we can't control the individual prompt. We won't. Nobody will. But we got to make sure that the ring fence around is somehow secure within that. Sorry, it was a long answer, but it's a complicated question.
I think we got a broad guideline, one on privacy. Again, data privacy also is something that you have really come up with, that GDPR long before everyone else has thought about it. And the security issues, like while we say some of these AI built algorithms are safe, or as you call encrypted and so on, but still this same AI could also be used to get into the system and really misuse it. Absolutely. And so we have also seen generally that the problems come before the regulation. So in that context, probably there is a need to preempt what can go wrong, and then consider policies or regulations in place. So on that, I'll just come to Director Sir once. And sir, if you can tell us, like, institutions like ours, like IIM, so what kind of role we can play, being in the higher education sector, to bring in AI as a companion, as we are saying, for faculty and students, and build policies around it?
Actually, we should go in phase-wise manner. Say, for example, first, let's say start with the assignments, start with some sort of exercises. that we can do in the class with the help of some of the well-versed uh, LLM models which are there. And once class is familiar and also not getting proper prompt and other things have been put, let there be practice among them. Next level will be that we can ask them as a group, make them a group to learn how the sector specific language model, large language models can be built up, so that when they go to their organization, they can also build up, like say, you want to control the carbon footprint, correct? So let there be a large language models for a chemical industry, for petroleum industry, for a industry of lube oils, industry for airlines, industry for cargo handling. Means sector specific kind of things also they can build up as a tool actually. Second, in finance, there is a huge application of all these tools. They can know how to design the if you take a loan, then how much actually the per month amount that we use to EMI. Similarly, those who are expending, their spending pattern can be seen along with their incomes to give them warning or to give them some suggestions that okay, be careful on this front or that front. Similarly, there are many trading companies. They are doing a lot of trading, and there is a algorithmic bias into that trading. So now time has come up to see that how those biases they can be checked properly to avoid many kind of frauds which are being done with the people. So idea is this: now time has come up in three stages. First we familiarize, then give them some task, and then bring them how to work within the framework of the policy actually, so that this will be a complete integration of this new technology with the curriculum of the particularly management education. That is what I personally feel, and but I require consult of all my colleagues and so some expert before we implement all this thing to the students as well as in generic as a MBA programs or online MBA programs or whatever we are offering. So certainly it will be part of our way to teach and better effectively manage the whole education system, but we will go in a phase-wise manner. Okay.
Thank you, sir. I think that is very important that we learn as we implement. Now, connected to this question, Dr. Alice, how are you collaborating, say, with the industry or outside of your institute on AI issues and broadening the base? Given that you said your institution is small, so if you can throw some light on that.
Yes, sure. Since we're a school for public policy and then international administration, we don't collaborate together with the industry in the sense of the corporates. Those are business schools who do this. We don't. We collaborate a lot with governments and NGOs and other institutions, which, when you think about governments, they're obviously not the fastest in detecting new IT trends, etc., and using them. I know they use it, but they have lots of restrictions in order because they have such a lot of sensitive data. Now, we have two ways to interact with the industry in our field. One is we have a data science lab where we have 7 professors only in data science and AI, including ethics in there, and they, of course, have a vast network. So that flows directly, international network, flows directly into the Hertie School. And the other one is in Germany, we have a cooperation of about 110 universities, public, very big ones like Munich and Aachen and Stuttgart and Heidelberg and all those, and 10 private universities, real universities. That's one of them is the Hertie School. And we meet, and the next meeting in Bonn, as we say now in May, will be 3 days on use of AI in German universities. There we exchange on a deep level. And apart from that, we have a very intense exchange with the private institutions, private universities, because they are, at least they think they are, and I think they are, a bit more ahead, a bit more with the spearhead of innovation. That's why we exist in Germany in the first place as a private institution. We are smaller, but much faster. And we meet every 6 months. The next one is in 2 weeks for 1.5 days, the chancellors and the IT directors and others. And we very closely exchange ideas and new trends, complete open book policy. There's nothing to be hidden. And this is one of the strongest drivers in innovation in Germany, I must say, in higher education.
That's quite open. And I would just like to add that we are also trying to have a policy center in our institute. So I hope in future we can also collaborate with you and maybe CPRG and
Absolutely.
then do something in this space and more. So thank you very much for that. Now I think I should allow the students also to ask the questions.
Can I add one comment to my previous comment?
Yeah,
I forgot
please,
one
please.
very important aspect. When I talked about regulation, when regulation and data privacy and all this is all good, but it's not working if the common sense of those who use AI, bless you, is if the common sense of use AI is not there. So what we did in the beginning, talking to students and staff alike, we said, use your common sense when you put in a question and when you read an answer. It's the best thing you can do because you have a high education all across. And check this first with your normal common sense if you read an article or a book or something, and then move forward. And I think it's super important to emphasize this because if you put that off, like on hold, your common sense, and just start doing things, you usually end up in a mess. It's really important.
Yeah, we can't agree more with you, and especially like for instance for data privacy, there was a lot of debate on this. That in India, for instance, the awareness at many levels probably is not as high, and the technological literacy and so on. So there again, the government actually has stepped in and decided to take a role of a guardian, if we may say. But then that also has its pros and cons. But what you're saying is right that as I think I've been emphasizing this, that AI can we cannot let it become our masters. It is something which was created by humans, so it cannot supersede a human being, right? So on that note, let me open this discussion to more humans. So students. We also have faculty members sitting here. So, questions, please. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for the thought-provoking and engaging session. So, I just want to ask, what do you believe if AI should be eventually become an evaluator, or it should only assist the learning? And if it is becoming the evaluator, so how can we trust its judgment?
Should I start? Yeah. It might become an evaluator in a pure online university when the tests and exams are in a way that you can really, which are obviously set up by humans and others, that you can really go automatically through it. It should not be the evaluator of students at any point in time, I think, at the final stage, especially not at the master level or at the more refined bachelor level, where you really go into deep problems, where you need this personal interchange, which I know AI can and will be ever better of responding as a person. Indeed, that's true. But to our conviction, it really is the relationship, the human, which is still there between the student and the faculty or the tutor, which is predominantly.
Hello, my question is to Dr. Axel. So, in your opinion, what do you think, how can institutions make sure that the access to AI tools does not widen the gap between the students who have the resources and those who does not?
That is a very fair question. And would we not have a setup, which we are doing, as I said, this ai.hertie-school-school.org, which other universities in Germany as well do. So do a license on behalf of the whole community, students and staff alike, with many AI providers and others. This indeed is a question, because then you have to pay to get better answers, monthly basis, and this can easily then divide. Maybe not in Germany right now, because paying 10 or 20 euro is somehow feasible for a German student, but many wouldn't like to do it and would no, I'd rather have a good beer or two on that one or have a good party. Why do I? Maybe you can give me your access and something like this, and that already then splits the divide, and we absolutely don't want to do this. Now I must say, not every university. Let's think of Free University Berlin, 40,000 students will probably be able to do this. We talk about large sums of money here. But it's a very important point, and it's a very difficult point to solve, and we need to solve it. Our way, as I just said, is giving complete free access through an open point with the university.
Last question. Hello. Yeah, very quickly, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for the talk. So the last line you mentioned during your talk was use your common sense. So I have a question on that. Do you think AI can enhance problem solving and critical thinking skills, or are we running a risk of over reliance or diminishing cognitive abilities because of use of AI?
The answer to both questions is yes. It's not an either or. I'm very much convinced. I will be able to enhance your critical thinking skills if you do think critical and are well educated and can reflect on what is coming back to you. Is this data true? Is this connection true? Etc. Etc. And at the same time, yes to the question as well. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's endogenous. I would say. So Professor Mainak has a question very quickly. As
This
we
is
are
just a
running out of
follow-up
time.
question. So one of the power of higher education is to extend the imagination skill of the students. It's not just skill building, it is also the imaginative skill. So do you think AI is equipped to extend the imaginative skills of the students?
Well, I've been working in arts for a long time, for 20 years. I've been managing opera houses and others. And at that time, it was between 1987, 90, and about 2000, 2005, 2010. The AI didn't play a role, at least not in arts, or not a visible role for us. So now it is different. And if I think pure of the artist as an artist, I'm sure the artists are already very far in using AI in somehow kind to create pure art. And I guess it can also be used to give you just a new points of thinking and visualization of things you maybe haven't thought about yourself. But it should always take you one step further. And this one step further should be coming out of yourself and not out of the machine. So in that sense, I would say, yes, it can enhance it, but be careful about it. It can mislead you tremendously. And just one last example, when we asked AI, there was some kind of visualization, I forgot the name of it, and say, draw up a center that was like half a year ago. Just show me a picture of a center of a data science lab somewhere in the US university. We got a beautiful picture with a lot of big windows and fields outside and fountain and all men sitting in white suits and sitting in black suits, white men, working. There was one woman in the room. That was what AI half a year ago then imagined how a data center in the US university could look like. That's, of course, as we know, there's lots of prejudices in internal. So, we still be very careful. I guess they also will get better on that end. Fortunately or unfortunately, we'll see. But use your critical mind, and then yes. But it's a delicate, fine. What is it? Way to walk. So be careful with it.
Thank you.
Last month there was a very good article in Nature where there are so many scientists working in the developing protein molecules and others. They have adapted the advanced version of AI to produce many new drugs actually which they have not thought in that way. So basically it is some way adding the newer items like say I was also testing some pieces in the optimization where we noticed that several solutions it has given which was not earlier being part of the feasible solutions also, but later on choosing them as a elitist one that gives better answer actually. So idea is this ki you can't generalize it, but it is found that ki there are many newer ideas are coming up by the process which are being used by the these large language models and the generative AI. But what that Akanksha asked, like say whether it is going to creative thinking and a skill, there is a debate going on here. Actually, whether really it is going to kill or it is going to increase, so that to be seen because I have to develop some mapping actually how the creative skill need to be measured. Actually, correct? Creative skill in good work, creative skill in bad work, creative skill in game, creative skill in cheat. There are so many creative skills are there. Correct? So now it is need to be properly mapped. Actually, then only we can say how these two skill sets are going to complement each other or they are going to oppose each other. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Baisch. It was really a very interesting session, and of course, I have pages and pages of questions on which we can go on for days altogether. But now, given the interest of the time, I'll hand over this dais to Abhinav.
Thank you, Professor Poonam, for skillfully guiding the enlightening discussion. And our sincere gratitude to Professor Tiwari and Dr. Baisch for being here and answering the questions and giving their valuable insights. The perspectives shared today will undoubtedly help shape our understanding of how higher education can navigate the AI revolution. We at Center of Policy Research and Governance remain committed to furthering this important dialogue. I would now invite Director Sir to please felicitate the guest.
Here we go. Now we have the one. now we see the dog back. Thank you very much.
I would now request Director Sir to please felicitate Dr. Raman, the Director of CPRG. I would now request you again to please felicitate Nitij Singh. He is the South Asia representative for the Hertie School here. Thank you so much, sir. I would now invite Professor Nitin Mehta to give a short word of thanks. Professor, please.
Respected Professor Manoj Tiwari, Director IIM Mumbai, Dr. Axel, MD, Hertie School, Dr. Abhinand Pandey, Center of Policy Research and Governance, Dr. Nitij Singh, Hertie School, South Asia Representative, our respected deans, faculty members, and dear students. It's my privilege to present this vote of thanks, and it's a wonderful session here to have attended and understood such a hearty confluence of Indian and German perspectives on navigating artificial intelligence in the classroom in the higher education. Indeed, it's a privilege to understand both the perspectives of how Professor Tiwari incorporated Indian perspectives of connecting with the Indian cultural values, and we've got to hear the German perspective when you ask AI itself, is it written by you? Very interesting perspectives we've got to understand. And thank you, sir, for sharing the narrative of when with an emergence of ChatGPT, what has happened there and how you conducted an emergency meeting. It was wonderful understanding both the perspectives. As a part of my duty, and it's my privilege to present this vote of thanks to all of you. Let me just say, a big thank you to our director, Sir Professor Manoj Tiwari, who's a panelist also today, for lending his deep insights today and for the vision and an unwavering support in conducting this particular event. Our sincere gratitude to Dr. Axel Baisch, Managing Director, Hertie School, for being a key panelist today and for his thought-provoking perspectives on the role of AI in shaping the future of higher education. And there's a lot to reflect post this session. I would fail in my duty if I do not bring in our co-host, Dr. Ramanand Pandey, Director of CPRG, and his dedicated team to have worked along with Mr. Abhinav Singh to have created this impeccable session today. Our sincere gratitude to Dr. Nitij Singh for joining us today for this event, and to all the faculty members to have make it up despite their busy schedule to have attended this session. My sincere gratitude to CAO, Ms. Nisha Singh and her office for enthusiastically cooperating in terms of accomplishing all the support system which is required for conducting this event. To academics department, to transportation, accounts, finance, everybody, and because of paucity of time and space, if I'm missing anyone, please forgive me for my mistake or error. One thing before we conclude this whole understanding, it's something which I could decipher from this whole endeavor was written in Bhagavad Gita, and which says that bandhur atmat manas tasya yenatmeva atmana jita anatmanastu satrutve vartet atmeva satrutavata. Typically what I'm trying to say here is that for him who has conquered the mind is the best of the friend, and but for one who has failed to conquer it, it is the greatest enemy. And being intelligence is a subset of mind, broader it's very important for us. How do we tame it? So wonderfully, Professor Poonam Singh brought in a perspective of bringing in whether it is a enemy, it's a kind of master or a teacher. It's up to us. How do we want to create it as an excellent teacher and an optimized master? Our mind has to be in place. And thank you, Tiwari sir, for bringing in and saying and bringing it that it is a very responsible act on each of us to take this further. Thank you very much to all the audience have attended here for this attended the session here. Thank you very much for joining us, and we do look forward to your support in the future endeavors. Thank you.
Request everybody